Welcome to Blender. This is a tutorial where I'm going to try and teach you the essentials of Blender, or at least try and teach you what I think is the essentials. Other people might have other opinions on what is the most important to learn about Blender, but I'm kind of a beginner, and these are the tools and tips and tricks that have helped me the most for using Blender. And I'm just gonna give them to you, and hopefully they will help you too. So let's just start. Hit general here to create a new file with the general scene. In our starting scene we have a light, a cube and a camera, and you can see those objects represented up here in the collection. And the collection is just a way to organize your objects. But I'm gonna be manipulating the cube a lot, so I'm gonna start by hiding the light and the camera. So I'm clicking the light and I'm holding down shift, clicking the camera. That's how you multiple select objects, and then press H to hide them. Now to move around in the 3D scene, you move around with your middle mouse button or the scroll wheel. Just press that down. You can also hold down shift, press down your scroll wheel and move back and forth. And you can also hold down Alt and click with your scroll wheel to move around in the scene. Your focus will kind of be moved to where your cursor is. Gonna try and move over here to the cube. Now there's another panel over here which is nice to know about. If you press the cube here, these are the properties of the cube. And up here, these will always be here. These are the properties of your scene and the render settings and so on. And up here to your right, you can see the coordinate system and the axis. So when I rotate this, you can see it's getting rotated around. And these are, if you hover over these are the minus axis. So these are this y-axis right here. This is the minus part and this is the positive part. Down here is the timeline. It's used for animation, so we won't get into that in this tutorial, but just know it's there. There are two menus in the what's called the 3D viewport. You can press N to open up the right side menu, and you can press T to open and hide the left side menu. Now let's try and move around this cube. Press G to move it around perpendicular to the camera, and then press X if you want to move it exactly in the X-axis, and Y in the Y-axis, and Z in the Z-axis. Now let's just go back to the original, undo the operation. That is Control Z. Now if I want to move it exactly 10 Blender units across this way, you can see these gray lines, by the way. These are one Blender unit. So I press G and I just type in 10 and it moved it exactly 10 Blender units to the right. So I'm gonna undo that. Oh, you need to click before it sets the cube there. So undo that. Now the next tool you want to get used to is the S or scale tool. Just press S on your keyboard. Gonna undo that. And you can scale in the X-axis. You can also scale in the Y-axis. Just press the Z and or X and the Y buttons on your keyboard, and I can scale in the Z-axis. Very nice to know. Rotate. You can rotate it perpendicular to the camera or around the Y-axis, the X-axis, and the Z-axis. And again, if I want to rotate it, for example, 45 degrees, I can just type in 45, and you can see the cube has been rotated 45 degrees. Now I'm gonna rotate this cube in an awkward position here, and I'm gonna try and move it in the Y-axis. You can see it moves in the Y-axis just as we expected it to do. But if I press Y again, it's now moving it in another Y-axis, and this is the Y-axis of the object. Also the X-axis is actually the same because I've been rotating it around the X-axis. But if I go into try and move it in the Z-axis, sorry, Uh-oh, yeah, my bad. Didn't press X twice. So this is the new X-axis. That makes sense. And the new Z-axis, press Z twice, is this way. If you want to see these axes, by the way, are called the local axis. And you can see them if you go up to options and check this box. So you can actually see them here. Now uncheck that again. You can also add different objects. Let's just delete this cube. Just press delete and Shift A to add new objects. So cylinder, we can move that a little bit over here. We can add icosphere, for example, move that over there. You can scale it, rotate it. But what if we want an exact copy of this? You can do that with Shift D, and you have duplicated it. You automatically go into the move tool, and you can press X, Y, and Z to move it around. And there's a menu that pops up down here. You can open that, and you can now use these fields to make changes to the tool that you just used. And there's also a linked button here. I will show you what that does, so you can just check that. But to show you what that does, I'm going to move into what's called the edit mode. Right now we've been in the object mode all the time, and we will go into edit mode now, but just press tab instead. That's a much faster way, and you'll be using that all the time. So now we're into edit mode. And what you see up here is what you should first take notice of. The first box is the vertex select, and this is a vertex. It's just an edge of this circle or a sphere. And you have the edge select, which makes it able for you to select edges, and the face select, which makes it able for you to select faces. Now you can switch between these by pressing 1, 2, and 3. That's a really fast way and a nice way to just move between them. And as you can see here, when we select a face on this on this sphere, it also selects the face on the other sphere. So if we try and edit the object, we can take this plane right here, or this face, or you can just press G to move it. And you can see it moves in the lower object as well. That's because they are linked. Now, we don't want that. It can be a little bit maybe confusing to see changes on both of these. So I'm just going to go back to object mode. I'm going to delete this one actually. And then I'm going to Alt, middle mouse click to focus on this object. Or actually, maybe let's do the cylinder instead. Might be easier to follow along with. So let's go into object mode by pressing tab. We're in object mode, and we can, as I said, I'm just going to select the face here, press G to move that around. You can also scale the face, and you can rotate the face. Now there are 5 tools here that I want to show you: the Extrude, Inset, Bevel, Loop Cut, and Knife tool. Let's start with the Extrude. There's a shortcut for it. It's E. And what it does is that it just makes what's called a loop cut, a new cut around the topology, and you can extrude out and just make a new shape. Same here, you can just select these faces, extrude out, and make some really cool looking stuff. This is almost like a cogwheel, or whatever you call it. I think it's a cogwheel, isn't it? A weird looking cogwheel. Let's just Control C to undo all these changes. Now you can also extrude edges. So if I go into edge select by pressing 2, and I choose this edge, for example, I can extrude that as well. And I can extrude that down. And let's say, oh, that's horrible. can extrude it, and you can also, if I want to extrude it straight down, I can press the Z axis. So that goes straight down. And if I want to connect this edge to this edge, let's say, I can, let's just select this one, hold down Shift to multiple select, and select this face, or not the face, the edge. And then you press F to fill it. And yeah, that gives you like a handle, I guess. But let's say if you want to fill in this, oh my god, that's terrible. I meant these two. That's better. Let's say if you want to fill in this edge around here, and just make this a solid block that comes out of the cylinder. You can hold down Alt and hit an edge here, and you can see that it selects almost the entire loop that we wanted. It gets a little bit confused here with this edge because it's connected to a lot of other edges. So it doesn't always connect all the way around, but up here, for example, if I hold down Alt and select this edge, you can see that it selects it all the way around. But let's go over here, select these three, and I will just hold down Shift and select this edge as well. Click F to fill it, hold down here, and then Shift and select that, F to fill it, and we have kind of manually created a new, or we have manually extruded this region. But what you have now is that you have a face here on the inside, and that's not really what you want, or you don't want to have a lot of that. So let's go into the face mode, click that, hit X, which is like the delete key for Blender. You can delete vertices, edges, faces, but you can also dissolve them. And when you dissolve something, it merges everything around. It kind of closes off the topology, so there isn't any open, there isn't a hole in your topology or your object. But actually right now we want to just delete the face. It doesn't do any dissolving. And now we can go into the edge mode again, select this one, and now actually it selects the entire ring around here, and we press F to fill it again, and ta-da, we have manually extruded this. So that's the bevel tool. Let's go on to the inset faces. So you select that tool by pressing I, and then we need to actually first, it doesn't do anything if you don't have anything selected. So let's go to the face mode, click the top here, press I, and then you can make, you can inset this. You make a new face inside the face that was already there, kind of. And then we can, for example, just to be a little bit creative here, extrude that, press I again, inset, E, I, oh, E, I, E, I, E. And boom, you have the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. You have modeled that in Blender. Congratulations. Maybe not the exact copy, but pretty close. So that's that tool. Now, the next tool is the Bevel tool. Let's select, the Bevel tool has Control B as a shortcut, by the way. So what it does is that it makes edges more smooth. It adds more topology on the edges, so you don't have sharp edges anymore. So now I Alt click this one, this edge here, and I will already select the Bevel tool, but let's say we didn't. Go back to Selection tool, select the ring here, Control B. Oh yeah, it doesn't always, sometimes it's a little bit hard to figure out when it actually starts beveling, but here you can see it starts beveling, makes the edges smooth. We can also do it up here, Control B, and you see you have a bevel menu coming up here. You get this menu with a lot of different operations or tools that you use on your model. You get a small little menu here, but what you need to remember is that, like if I want to make more segments here, which can be nice to make it even rounder, when you go out of this menu there is no way to open that menu again. It's kind of like written in stone then. So if I click away now, I can't open that menu again. It's gone. So that's kind of nice to remember. The next tool is the loop cut, which is a really useful tool. You can see here there appears a yellow line, and that will, if I click now, it will create a loop cut around. Sorry, I forgot to mention the shortcut. It's Control R. So go back to edit mode or select mode and Control R. You have the loop cut tool. So just click here and it will kind of automatically help you to, if you want to make the loop cut down here, you can do that. But if you just want to have it in the middle where it was from originally, from before, just right click and it stops in the middle. Now, if you, after you've put the loop cut down, you want to have it further up or further down, you can just, make sure you're in edge select the edge, press G to move it. But now it moves it sideways and in every direction. But if we press G again, it moves it or along the lines that are already there, if you know what I mean. So we can move it down here, for example, and then we can Control R. And if you want to make a lot of loop cuts up here, you can press a number, for example 5. You get 5 of them, but you can use your scroll wheel as well to increase or decrease the amount of cuts. So that's really nice. Then you can move those up and down. I'm going to right click here. Then you can scale them, for example, in the x-axis. Make a fancy tower. All right. And the last tool is the knife tool. Now you activate that by pressing K. And the knife tool just gives you the opportunity to make unique kind of cuts to your topology. For example, like this, just press and click, and then space to accept the cut. I don't know what happened here, but yeah. So you've made a cut through the object here. If you want to make the cut on the other side as well, I'm gonna undo this, press K again. You see there's a lot of different options down here. These are pop up for every tool that you use, so they can be really nice to just have a look at, see what you can do with the tool. And I can see here that if I press Z, it says cut through. So if I press Z now, the cut through is on. And if I cut through here, like that, press space, or sorry, that didn't work. Cut through here, and then click again, and then space. And now you can see you've cut through the other side as well. So that's pretty nice. Well, I think that's everything for this tutorial. I hope you learned something new. I will be making another Essentials tutorial with some more essential stuff that I think is nice to know. But I think this is it for this tutorial. I don't want to make it too long. So hope you enjoyed yourself and learned something new. Have a nice day.